Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We want to welcome everybody here to our program tonight. We appreciate you all being here. We're going to get right into our program tonight. We're running just a little bit late. I want to get through here, through whatever we have to do to get through this program tonight. First off, we're going to talk about a jet crash in San Diego this morning. A United States Navy jet fighter crashed into San Diego Bay at about 10:18 a.m. this morning. Let's go over here to KFMB Channel 8 News, CBS in San Diego.
Here at 11 a.m., there are reports of a military plane that just crashed in the water near Shelter Island just about an hour or so ago. Glad you're with us. I'm Eric Connert.
And I'm Chris Groh. First responders are on the scene right now. Let's show you a map of the area where this all happened. This is near the 1500 block of Shelter Island Drive. You can see Shelter Island right now there. North Island is just across the way. The crash was first reported just before 10:17 this morning. MCAS Miramar Public Affairs confirms that it is a Marine aircraft.
Let's check in with CBS 8's Shannon Handy live near the scene in Shelter Island. We can see the rain on the camera there. We know the visibility is low. You talked to a witness. What did they have to say about this crash?
Yeah, Eric and Chris, we've been out here for several minutes now. We've talked to a lot of people who say they saw something odd, they heard something odd. Basically, what we've gathered is that there were military aircraft taking off from North Island, which is just across the way here, and there was an issue with one of those aircraft. One witness says he noticed that the aircraft was flying really low and then made some odd noises. Another told me he simply heard the odd noises. When these military aircraft take off, it is very loud, so anyone on Shelter Island can hear them. And everyone I spoke to says they just heard some odd noises and then the plane just disappeared. So what we've gathered, again, is that the planes may have been taking off. Again, we are still awaiting official word. And the plane went into the water. Now, the good news, San Diego Fire does confirm that the two pilots on board were rescued. We do not know if they ejected or if they went down with the plane and they were rescued in the water. We're still awaiting word on that, but we do know that they were rescued. Now, Jay is pointing the camera further from where we are standing in the direction of where we believe that plane is. You're going to see, I know the visibility is really low, but you're going to see a lot of boats in the water and they're circling right now. And we have been told that that is where that aircraft went down and that is why all those boats are circling. Now, we've also heard that right now there are divers in the water and the mission is to secure some of the oil and some of the stuff that came out of that plane to protect the sea life below. And then apparently a crane is going to be brought in to try and lift the aircraft out of the water. I'm told this water is shallow, especially close to where that plane reportedly went down. So we do have a crew that's closer to that scene who is monitoring that situation. I just spoke with them and they say at this point there's no crane, there's just divers in the water, there's boats in the water circling this one area, which is indicative that that is where that plane went down. So we are going to head down that way. We're going to monitor the situation, and as soon as we get more information, we, of course, will report that back with you guys.
Okay, that was the KFMB Channel 8 CBS affiliate in San Diego talking about how that plane went down. Now I'm going to switch over to a briefing by the San Diego Harbor Police telling us about what exactly happened this morning out there on the water. Let's go to the Harbor Police here in San Diego. Sorry, I had this all lined up here. I had this all lined up here before all of a sudden we're getting garbage here. There we go. This is San Diego Harbor Police. He's a Harbor Police lieutenant.
Responded, and we did find some good Samaritans, had recovered 2 pilots. About 10:15 today, Harbor Police received a report that there was aircraft that had gone into the water. We responded, and we did find some good Samaritans, had recovered 2 pilots from the water. We assisted those good Samaritans getting to our police docks right over here, brought them up to our parking lot. They got connected with medical care that they needed. They went to the hospital to get treatment. And at that point, we just assisted with perimeter for this large debris field that's out here from the aircraft that went into the water. And that was really the extent of Harbor Police's role. Since that time, we've limited all traffic here to just emergency traffic only. So if you're a mariner in the area, please avoid the Shelter Island Basin. It's emergency traffic only. We've also closed down Kellogg Beach, so if you're a local, please avoid Kellogg Beach. The main channel of San Diego Bay remains open, in and out, but you'll see a large Coast Guard and Navy presence holding the maritime perimeter of the debris field while all of the debris is recovered. So that is, in a nutshell, what happened this morning, and we're taking a few questions, but we can't really talk about the pilots, their identity, the aircraft, all of that stuff. We're going to have to refer to the Navy because this is going to be their investigation.
The good Samaritans recovered them in a boat?
In a boat, yes.
What's the process now with clearing this debris? We have a crane's going to come in. Can you give us any details on that?
I don't know all the details because the Navy is primary on that. I do know it could take a while because you have to pinpoint exactly, where the accident happened, and you've got tide and wind that can push debris, anywhere. So it could be a while.
And describe to people, we were seeing the orange outline that was being used out there.
So that's a boom that is made to kind of prevent environmental spills from expanding, prevent the debris field from expanding, and kind of set the perimeter. Anytime there's an aircraft accident like this, there is a little bit of a concern about the maritime environmental impact. So the Port Environmental is aware of the impact that might have. The Coast Guard has their own emergency environmental response as well, in case any of that is needed.
What did you describe it as?
A boom?
Boom?
Yeah, B-O-O-M.
So underwater, what is under the water of that orange?
The boom is just on the surface. The boom is just on the surface. There's nothing. It doesn't extend underneath the water.
Can you tell us anything about the pilots as they were taken from the water here and transported, their demeanor, anything? To that
Cannot.
nature?
Anything for the pilots, you're gonna have to refer to the Navy on that.
What's the depth of the water with the plane?
The depth of the bay varies all over, and since the point of impact hasn't really been determined yet, you can kind of see the general area. The boom is just on the surface. The boom is just on the surface. There's nothing. It doesn't extend underneath the water. Out on the water right now, it appears that there's. I've seen Navy boats. I've seen Coast Guard boats, and there's one Harbor Police boat helping maintain the perimeter right now.
One of the big concerns is environmental issues. I know you're on top of it now, but we have bad weather, we have currents, so wind. What more can you do to make sure that more environmental damage isn't done?
There's not a lot you can do in the moment. I mean, it's environmental cleanup because the accident has already happened. So getting those booms out there and having all of your environmental teams on standby is really the best we can do right now because the Navy investigation is primary as they kind of get their perimeter set up and on lockdown.
Is the Navy in charge of removing the fighter jet from the water?
Yes, I believe that's going to be their responsibility.
How would they do so when that happens, do you know?
I don't know their process.
Has this ever happened before?
I believe there was a helicopter crash in the bay years ago. I don't remember the exact date of that, though.
What's the intention of the maritime closure and how long is that expected to last?
We'll lift it as soon as we can. We don't want to extend that any longer. We have left an ingress and egress route, like I said, for essential emergency traffic. So if you were, your dock home port is the Kona Kai and you've been out all day, if you're coming back tonight, we're going to let you get back to your dock. But if you're just going out for a pleasure cruise for the day, please avoid the area because it's just for emergency traffic only.
Is it just for the rest of the day that's going to be?
I can't give an exact timeline because I don't know how long the recovery efforts will take.
So the Good Samaritans, there's a fishing boat, what sort of boat?
I heard fishing boat, but I couldn't even verify if it was a large fishing boat, a small fishing boat. I'm not sure.
Did they physically bring them out of the water?
I was not there for that part, so I don't know, sir. Sorry.
What hospital?
I can't say the hospital. We'll have to defer to the Navy on that one.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, that was the press conference earlier at KFMB San Diego involving the harbor police lieutenant telling us exactly what was happening over in the San Diego harbor after the San Diego Coronado Naval Air Station jet took off from Coronado Island and launched this aircraft right here. Okay, this is a rather large fighter jet. Okay, this is a fighter jet out of San Diego. Came off of Coronado Naval Air Station. Now, folks, this is a fighter. Okay, this is a fighter. It's a specialized fighter. Let me pull up some more information about it. I had it here, and all of a sudden it disappeared. It's a Boeing EA-18G Growler. A Boeing EA-18G Growler. Okay? It's an American carrier-based fighter aircraft. It's an electronic warfare aircraft, specialized version of the two-seat Boeing FA-18F Super Hornet. Okay, it's a specialized version of the Boeing FA-18F Super Hornet fighter aircraft. The EA-18G replaced the Northrop Grumman EA-8B Prowlers in service with the United States Navy. The Growler's electronic warfare capability is primarily powered by Northrop Grumman. The E-18G began production in 2007 and it entered operations shortly thereafter. This is a highly specialized aircraft. Highly specialized aircraft. And it was based here at Coronado Naval Air Weapons Station. Okay? I've only seen one of these aircraft in my life. Okay? This is what was launched in the air this morning, and it went down in San Diego Harbor, and both pilots ejected from the aircraft and were picked up by the Border Patrol CBP crew and transported to a local hospital. They're transported to a local hospital, guys. So that's the story on that. Do we have any questions about that? This is the fourth aircraft that went down in the past 3 weeks. The fourth aircraft that went down in the past 3 weeks. Any questions? Any questions at all? Okay. I want to get on with this program today. I want to ask right now if Sharon is still with us here. Sharon, are you still with us here on our program? Sharon and Rebecca, I want you to stay here with us. Sharon and Becky, are you still here? Becky said she'd probably be watching it and probably wouldn't be commenting too much. S. Nord is asking who's hacking the planes. That remains to be seen. Laura Marie used to live over in San Diego near where I used to live. She said here in the chat, when pilots eject, their injuries. They're probably at Balboa Naval Hospital in San Diego. No, they're actually at Mercy Hospital in downtown San Diego right now. They may have already transferred to Balboa, but it's unknown what's going on. They were transported by Customs Border Protection ambulance and Customs Border Protection cars right to the San Diego Mercy Hospital. And it's unknown whether they've been transferred to Balboa Naval Hospital in San Diego. We don't know that for sure. Is Sharon or Becky still here? Sharon or Becky, are you still here? It doesn't look like they're still here with us. Since Laura Marie is here, earlier this afternoon, my wife and I went to our post office box. And by the way, our post office box is 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code here is 28655. At the top of our program description, you're going to find a link to how to join here to our EMA program as a member. Just below that is our email address, and just below that is also our primary address where you can send us cards and letters. Today, Laura Marie and John, her husband, sent us this wonderful photo right here. Okay, this is a river right near their property in Oregon. This is the Kalapua River in Oregon. This is on their ranch. This river provides irrigation water downstream to the water for the city of Brownsville, Oregon. She says, we are blessed by this beautiful river. It has steelhead trout and other fish and wildlife. She told us to have a great day and thank you for providing emergency information and news. With love, John and Laura. John and Laura, thank you for that. They also sent us a card here. Sent us a American Express gift card that we're very happy to use, and we thank you for that, Laura and John. If you guys see Sharon or Rebecca here, please let me know. Okay? Now, I want to get on with this program. We have a lot to talk about here. The first thing I want to talk about is Tulsi Gabbard. Tulsi Gabbard was late last night approved by the Senate to be the next National Intelligence Director of National Intelligence. She's approved and confirmed by the United States Senate last night to be our National Security Director here in the United States. Let me show you that right here. This is a swearing-in ceremony this morning in the Oval Office. The Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to swear her in.
Thank you very much. And today we're delighted to swear in our next Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard. Most of you know Tulsi. She's a fantastic woman. Tulsi, I want to just congratulate you, your husband, Abraham, your sister, and all of your friends. A lot of friends here. You have a lot of friends. I noticed that, huh?
I'm grateful.
They were all fighting for you. It worked out very well. Tulsi Gabbard's an American of extraordinary courage and exceptional patriotism. She's devoted her entire life to public service, and I've watched her for years on different shows and everything. I said, she's a woman of great common sense, and, you know, we like the common sense. It's a word that's being used a lot. I think we started it in terms of politics, but it's a word that's used a lot. It's usually pretty effective, too, and you really are. I've watched you even on Larry King. You know, you're very young. I don't know how you were Larry King, but you're very young. But you were, and you always had the situation covered properly. At 21 years old, Tulsi became the youngest woman ever elected to the Hawaii State Legislature. After 9/11, she joined the Hawaii Army National Guard and deployed abroad 3 times, and highly respected by everybody. So many people writing in letters saying she was so exceptional even then. She continues to serve as a lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army Reserve, and Tulsi also served 4 terms in the United States House of Representatives, where she was a member of the House Armed Services Committee. She is a former vice chair of the National Democratic Party. Can you believe that? And here she is. That's very nice. We have a few of them. But she was never a Democrat. She was, at heart, she was a Republican. I watched her, and was a 2020 Democrat candidate for President of the United States. It's not easy, right? It's not so easy. People think it's easy. It's not easy. Throughout her service, Tulsi has always distinguished herself as a leader of the highest caliber. She's earned the respect and admiration and love of Americans on both sides of the aisle as her profound commitment to the values that keep us free, and she really does have those values as much as anybody. In recent years, Tulsi has been a courageous and often lonely voice speaking out against radical left's attacks on free speech and the dangers of an unelected deep state. And I have to say she was very, very strong for me when I was going through all of the fake news and all of the problems that we had with some very sick people. She was always out there. Before I really knew her as well, she was out there defending me, so I appreciated that, Tulsi. But the threat of a warmongering military-industrial complex and the weaponization of government and governmental people that go out and persecute, they like to persecute people that are innocent. Tulsi herself became a target of that weaponization when she was outrageously placed on a suspected terrorist watch list by the Biden regime. It's a very evil regime after criticizing their appalling abuses of power. And I'm confident that as director of the National Intelligence, Tulsi will work tirelessly to keep America safe. And she's been doing that her entire career. I think it's going to be a very Islamic terrorism and lots of other threats, too, threats from within, and give no quarter to America's foreign enemies. At the same time, I'm entrusting Tulsi with the responsibility of overseeing urgently needed reforms to the U.S. intelligence community to protect the rights and the civil liberties of all Americans. She'll provide the American people with transparency, eliminate corruption, shrink the bloated bureaucracy, and restore honesty, integrity, and trust to the national security state. There's only one thing I can say, that there's nobody like her for this job. This was a very easy one for me. She was recommended by some of the top people in that world. It's a little world, you know. It's a little smart world. It sometimes can be an evil world when the wrong people are there, but we have the right one. She's had so many great recommendations. I would say Pam was right up there with her, Pam Bondi. She had a lot of I know her a little bit better, and you're doing a fantastic job after about 3 or 4 days, right? You've had a lot of experience, but you've never seen anything like this, Pam, but you're going to do fantastic as the Attorney General, fantastic. So thank you and congratulations. We did this with Pam a few days ago, and this is again my honor. So congratulations to Tulsi, and I think Pam is going to administer the oath, and when she does that, I'll sign your new certificate. Good, thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.
Please place your left hand on the Constitution and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear
I, Tulsi Gabbard, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same,
and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same.
that I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely,
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
discharge the duties of the office on which I am about to enter.
discharge the duties of the office on which I'm about to enter.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
That was a swearing in of Tulsi Gabbard as Director of National Intelligence here in the United States. It took forever to get her in here as this director. She waited 3 weeks going through grueling questions and answers from the United States Senate Democrats because the Democrats did not want her. They finally got her cleared through the Senate, and now she's the National Security Intelligence Director. Now, something else had happened. Something else happened. We still have Robert F. Kennedy Jr., who is still going through grueling testimony in the United States Senate to become the HHS director, National Institute of Health director. The Democrats hate him for leaving the Democrat Party. Before, he was just fine before he started supporting President Trump. Now the Democrats hate him. He's going through grueling testimony right now before the United States Senate. The other person we definitely need in, and both of these men need our prayers, is Kash Patel. Kash Patel was nominated by President Trump as the new FBI director. Both have been going through grueling testimony with the Senate. And the testimony the Democrats don't like because it's truth. The Democrats hate the truth. They absolutely hate the truth. They're doing everything they can to hold up these nominees to become and confirmed to be the the National Health Director and also the FBI Director. Let's pray for them. Let's pray that they make it in this time. I hope they really do. We need them both, especially Kash Patel at this point in time. Robert F. Kennedy we need because we need his expertise in making sure our children and our families get the kind of health care that we need. To make sure we get the health care that we need and we will survive after everything the Democrats have done to us over the last 4.5 years. Incredible stuff that's been going on. Now, something else happened after Tulsi Gabbard got sworn in by Pam Bondi, the nation's new Attorney General. After she did that, Pam Bondi came back to the Attorney General's office and held a press conference. And we need to see this press conference.
Good afternoon. I'm sorry we were a little bit late. I was in the West Wing swearing in Tulsi Gabbard, and so I just came straight back here. So thanks for being patient with us with the delay. We're here today because we have filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans, American citizens, and angel moms, like the mom standing right behind me, who you're going to hear from in a moment. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois.
As a nation, Americans aren't prepared.
Hold on a second.
And New York didn't listen. So now you're next. Millions of illegal aliens with violent records have flooded into our communities, bringing violence and deadly drugs with them. With me today, I'm so proud to be joined by Tammy Nobles. Tammy is an angel mom. Her beautiful daughter, Kayla Hamilton, was murdered by an MS-13 member in 2022. Kayla had just turned 20 years old, and she was raped and murdered by someone who should not have been in our country. Yet, he was released, flown to Maryland, where he committed this violent murder. I just want you to hear from Tammy. Tammy represents not only herself and her family, but all of the great angel moms around this country who have suffered because of what the Biden administration did, and it is over.
Thank you for having me here today and being able to share Kayla's story. Her murderer was able to come across the border knowing that he was flagged as an MS-13 gang member, and he had a criminal record in 2020 in El Salvador for illicit gang activity. He came over as an unoccupied alien child, saying that he was afraid of gang activity in his country. Health and Human Services called him a nice boy, and he showed age-appropriate behavior. That fell so wrong when he murdered my daughter. He ended up in Maryland, where he was able to rent a room in the same mobile home as her. We thought it was a legit company that were renting out these rooms, but it turned out that it was another illegal immigrant who owned these mobile homes, and he knew Walter from El Salvador. He knew him and allowed him to rent a room with my child. Kayla just turned 20 years old 3 days before she was murdered. Her murderer was only living there for 5 days before he viciously strangled her, raped her, and left her on the floor like trash and robbed her of $6. I have been sharing her story for over 2.5 years to bring change, because this should not have ever happened to Kayla, and it shouldn't be happening to other families being hurt by the border. Homeland Security did not do their jobs. They did not check his background. You know, they did say that he was processed. So if they processed him, they knew that he was a gang member and still allowed him here. Health and Human Services did not verify the sponsor and allowed him to go with a sponsor that they don't even know if it was his cousin or his aunt. And he was able to leave the sponsor's house to go live wherever he wanted. And I am going to continue sharing Kayla's story to help save others and to bring awareness of what was happening under the Biden-Harris administration. And I'm so thankful for Pam having me here today, and I'm so thankful for the opportunities I got from Trump and any other platform, you know, people who allowed me to share her story, because this is going to end. No other parent should suffer by having their child murdered by somebody that shouldn't be here. And I'm gonna continue, you know, sharing it, and for Kayla, you know, and also for others. Thank you.
Give me a second here.
It's my understanding that he also admitted to other murders, correct? Multiple murders.
He wrote a letter, and it was intercepted in jail, that he committed 4 murders and 2 rapes.
And that's who we were letting walk into our country. And that's why President Trump has directed this to stop. And if you don't comply with federal law, we will hold you accountable. We did it to Illinois, strike 1. Strike 2 is New York. And if you are a state not complying with federal law, you're next, get ready. And the great men and women of law enforcement are standing behind me today. We have FBI, DEA, ATF agents. They put their lives on the line every single day to protect us. And what New York has, they have green light laws, meaning they're giving a green light to any illegal alien in New York, where law enforcement officers cannot check their identity if they pull them over. Law enforcement officers do not have access to their background. And if these great men and women pull over someone and don't have access to their background, they have no idea who they're dealing with. And it puts their lives on the line every single day. Violent criminals, gang members, drug traffickers, human smugglers will no longer terrorize the American people. And that is why we are here today. You will be held accountable if you do not follow federal law. It's over, it ends, and we're coming after you. Questions?
We have time for a few questions. David Spott with Fox News.
Madam Attorney General, thank you and welcome to the Justice Department.
Thank you.
I have a quick on-topic and a quick off-topic question. On-topic, In your executive order, or in your orders on the first day you were here, you talked about working with the Justice Department, or these sanctuary cities, as you say, will be punished. Today you're putting people on notice. Right now we're just lawsuits. Is this going to go further? What kind of punishment are we talking about? Is there any grounds to charge individuals, charge politicians? How far is this going to go?
Well, we're going to see what they do next, David. We have sued them all. We've personally sued the governor, the Attorney General, Letitia James, and Mark Schroeder with DMV because he has the green light laws. So what they have to do, they have to start complying with federal law. If they don't, we're going to appeal it, and we will win. They have to comply with federal law. Did you have a second question?
I did have a second off-topic question in this regard. The judiciary today, Elon Musk, who has enormous influence in the Trump administration, posted on X, quote, "There needs to be an immediate wave of judicial impeachments, not just one." As the Attorney General of the United States, how do you respond to that? Shouldn't the process work out in the courts before we talk about judicial impeachments? I mean, these are just TROs now at this time. Shouldn't these just play out?
Yeah, I haven't seen Elon Musk tweet. He is a friend of mine. He is a great man. I think he's very frustrated with what's happening in our federal government. You know, at USAID alone, they're giving out billions of dollars that should not be distributed. We're going to back him up. You know, we work our whole lives in this country, and we all pay taxes in this country. And for people to find out that $2 million is going to Guatemala for sex changes is outrageous. And we're going to back up Elon Musk every way we can. That includes lawsuits against these people who are doing that, and we will be successful.
Do you have concerns about judicial impeachments?
That's not going to happen now. We're going to look at everything. We're going to follow the law right now. We're going to follow the process. These are federal judges with lifetime appointments, but they will be struck down ultimately by the Supreme Court of the United States if the appellate courts don't follow the law as well.
Lana Richard, DAB.
Hi.
I also have an on-topic and an off-topic.
Sure.
First of all, can you just briefly walk us through what the legal claims are you're making in this lawsuit?
Yeah, absolutely. So the green light laws are that this is what the green light law says. It's a green light to illegal immigration.
This game
says they can comply. That law is unconstitutional. They can't do that. And what they've done is they have a tip-off provision that requires New York's DMV commissioner to promptly inform any illegal alien when a federal immigration agency has requested their information. So think about the men and women in law enforcement behind me. That's basically, that's not basic, it's tipping off an illegal alien, and it's unconstitutional. And that's why we filed this lawsuit, and that's why we charge Mark Schroeder too, because he runs DMV. Oh, I'm sorry, you had a second question.
Yeah, my off-topic question, I wanted to ask about Mayor Eric
Yes.
Adams' case. As of at least a few moments ago, SDNY still has not dropped that case. Have you or other DOJ leadership spoken to the acting U.S. attorney in SDNY since the memo was sent earlier this week? And what will you do if she refuses to drop the case?
I have not spoken to her. I know our acting DAG, Emil Bove, has spoken to her, and Chad Mizell may have spoken to her, but that case should be dropped. It was done at the directive of Emil, so that case should be dropped. I did not know that it had not been dropped yet, but I will certainly look into that.
Reagan, Daily Caller.
Hi, how are you?
Tom Homan suggested this week that someone from within the FBI may be leaking information about the ICE raids, and that such could be putting officers' lives at risk. Has the DOJ gotten any closer to determining if these leaks are coming from within the FBI? And what will the consequences be if they can identify the leakers from the FBI?
Excuse me. Well, first, I can't talk about anything that is ongoing, and that is ongoing. And it's really for the similar reasons of what I said earlier. The great men and women in law enforcement standing behind me today, they must be protected. And anytime anyone leaks or tips off anything regarding a pending investigation, that jeopardizes lives. You're telling a bad guy what's about to happen. It could jeopardize the lives of all the men and women in law enforcement. We will not stand for it. We will find you. We're going to investigate it, no matter what agency it came from. We don't know for certain. We have an open investigation, so I can't talk about it in detail, but we will do everything in our power to hold you accountable, and it is a crime, and you will be prosecuted when we find you.
Okay. Pam Bondi just told everybody she has filed suit against Miss James, who is the district attorney in New York. She's filed suit against the governor of New York and the DMV director of New York for releasing information. Releasing information about what's going on with our agents out on the street going after these illegals. They're going to prosecute these politicians. They will be prosecuting these politicians that do not want to cooperate with the laws of the country. These are United States laws, and our Attorney General is saying that she's going to prosecute those people who do not abide by the law, including the governors and the mayors that are saying their states or the cities are sanctuary cities. There are no sanctuary cities here in this country, or sanctuary states. Governor Newsom also will probably be prosecuted before it's all said and done. Now, given that, several weeks ago, before Trump was sworn into office, Newsom had said that for the prior 6 months, the state of California through Newsom had hired a dozen attorneys, and they were preparing lawsuits against President Trump to keep President Trump and his federal authorities out of California and to avoid them coming into California and following through with federal law, arresting illegal aliens in California. Newsom was going to do that. Now, I have not heard anything about the lawsuits from California, but I'm hoping that Newsom is going to drop it. And notice I do not call him by his real name. Governor Newsom is just that, scum. Scum. And I do hope he's prosecuted. I do hope he will be arrested and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Newsom, I believe, was also responsible for the fires in California. I believe that. Hurricane Heather says, can't President Trump prove California? I'm hoping he can. I'm hoping he can. President Trump has ultimate authority here. He's the President of the United States. And yes, I do too want to see Newsom in handcuffs and be put in jail for the rest of his life. Now, when I said that on X, a few weeks ago, I said that on X that I would like to see Nancy Pelosi serve the rest of her life in prison. And X took me off of X for a week because they thought it was too harsh. But I still want to see Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Pencil Neck Adam Schiff, Miss Idiot Open Montana, Liz Cheney, all those on the January 6th committee that tried to protect their own. They have to be dealt with. They should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Unreal. Unreal. Does anybody have any questions about what happened in Washington today with the swearing in of Tulsi Gabbard or Attorney General Pam Bondi and her lawsuits against the state of New York? Lemons Light says President Trump has already made a huge difference in her town, Asheville, North Carolina. We have Army Corps of Engineers there in Asheville. Lots of huge trucks. They're hauling massive amounts of wood debris and huge trees away. That's what they should be doing. That is what dipstick Biden should have done. That's what dipstick Biden should have done. He also should have made FEMA abide by the law and take care of those people in our western North Carolina mountains. Biden didn't do it. Trump did. It takes someone with courage and backbone, somebody that abides by the law. But the Democrats haven't done that. If any of you have been keeping up with what's been going on in Washington last week, Elon Musk has been head of the DOGE. DOGE is the Department of Government Efficiency. Newscomb, I should say Newscomb, I'm sorry. Not Newscomb. Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy, and now 45 other people that they've hired as part of DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. They've been working night and day to identify money that has been spent by our government that was unlawfully spent, unlawful used. They have identified many, many agencies, including the DEI agency, which sent money to all other parts of the world. All other parts of the world. The Democrats authorized money to be spent. $250 billion for condoms in Guatemala. Why? Why? Why'd that happen? I have real problems with that. And the other day I showed you evidence of other agencies within the government that spent money. Now we find out the other day that our government had sent money, Social Security money, out to 150 people. 150 people that were 150 years old. 150 people that were 150 years old. There is no one alive here in the United States that is 150 years old. Yet our government, our Social Security agency, has sent Social Security funds out to those people that are dead. Somebody's taking the money, aren't they? They sure enough are. It's incredible what they've been doing. Elon Musk last night appeared in the Oval Office with his son X. And President Trump had him interviewed by the press, detailing all the illegal money that's been spent. And Elon Musk is saving the United States government. It's a sad day in hell when we find out how much has been spent. Elon Musk said last night with President Trump, he is probably going to save the government over $1 trillion already. Already. And he's only been doing this now for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. What else are we going to find? What else are we going to find? Elon Musk is doing a great job. Democrats can't stand him. Democrats can't stand him at all. Now, last night in New York City and in Washington, D.C., mobs from the government were out on the streets protesting. The picture that I'm about to show you is government employees. The AFGE, the American Federation of Government Employees. It's an employee union of the federal government, operated by Democrats. Democrats are marching in D.C. and New York to protest DOGE's crackdown on government waste. Look at this. Our own government employees are out in New York City in Washington, D.C., protesting Elon Musk and DOGE trying to get to the bottom of unlawful spending. The American Federation of Government Employees, it's an employee union. When I was a federal police officer, they were trying to get us under the auspices of the AFGE. Our Federal Police Officers Association refused because we soon found out, soon after we joined the government as federal police, that AFG was crooked. So we refused to join them. AFG is also still crooked, protesting against what President Trump and Elon Musk are doing, trying to save the government and the American people money. We've worked hard enough for our money, and our government has been taking it. Now, Elon Musk has not audited the IRS yet. That's coming. That's coming very soon. Elon Musk is going to save us a lot of money, even with the IRS. And I have a feeling with the IRS, he's going to find out all sorts of nasty things. I can't wait. I honestly can't wait. Anyway, does anybody have any questions about what we've already said? I want to get in and talk about earthquakes. I want to go on and talk about the volcanoes that are showing signs of a possible eruption. There's quite a few of them. First thing I want to do is show you earthquakes that are happening in the Pacific Northwest. Earthquakes that are happening in the Pacific Northwest. Here's Bend, Oregon. This is Bend, Oregon. Guess what? What you see here, let me enlarge this so you can truly see what's going on. This is a small 3.0 earthquake today. A small 3.0 earthquake here today. Is it shown on the USGS map? No. It absolutely isn't. But a small 3.0 earthquake hit in Bend, Oregon today. 6:09 a.m. today. Why is this not being on the map? This happened in the United States. USGS shows 3.0 earthquakes everywhere else. They show 2.5. They show 1.5 tremors here in the United States. Why are they not showing this 3.0 small quake in Bend, Oregon? Inquiring minds want to know. Let me show you another one here. When I get through here, you guys are going to have all kinds of questions. Let's go up to Bow, Oregon, B-O-W, Oregon. I want to show you Edison Elementary School. Look at this, guys. Edison Elementary School. Now, the top of this seismogram here is 4 p.m. last night over here on the left-hand side. Look at these tremors here. Tremors and minor earthquakes last night. On the black line here, this is approximately 4:10, 4:11 yesterday afternoon. A 1.8 earthquake or 1.8 tremor here. And after that, on this blue line, which is 4:30 on the left-hand side, this is about 4:38 here. Yesterday afternoon is a 2.0 minor earthquake. And you can see all kinds of other tremors here as well. Look what happened here today. Look what happened here today. Here in Bow, Washington, at Edison Elementary School. The seismograph is located at the elementary school, Edison Elementary. What we are seeing here is magma. Each and every line here represents 15 minutes of time. What you're seeing on these lines down here towards the bottom is magma crossing underneath the ground through magma channels. It's called magma pulse signals. Magma pulse signals. Where you see the line being thicker, there's more magma. Where the line gets thinner is less magma. Magma pulse signals. Okay? But on each of these lines you see vertical lines. Those are earthquakes. That is where magma is coming through those magma channels and it's fracturing rock in the magma channel, causing earthquakes, earth movement. That's what you're seeing here. Is USGS talking about this? Heavens no. They don't want anybody talking about it. That's why you have me here, so I can show you exactly what's going on. Now let's go over to the strait, not the strait, but the strait of Juan de Fuca. Okay, this is Hidalgo Island in Washington State. Let me turn this seismograph off for the time being here, and let's go over here to the USGS map, and I'll show you where Hidalgo Island is. I think you should know. Let me turn off our webcam and our EMA banner here, and let's go over here to the Pacific Northwest. Yes, you've seen some earthquakes here. You absolutely are. There are earthquakes all over the United States and all over the world. We're going to get to those in a few minutes. But right now I want to go over here to the Pacific Northwest. Why am I talking about this? Because, folks, we are going to have a Cascadia megathrust earthquake. We're going to have a Cascadia megathrust earthquake. That earthquake is going to be a terrible earthquake. It's going to be a 9.0, 10.0 magnitude earthquake. The biggest earthquake that we've ever seen here in the United States. Any person that's living has ever seen here in the United States. This waterway coming in and off the northern Pacific Ocean here. This is called the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The Strait of Juan de Fuca. What we're talking about when we talk about Orcas Island, Lumi Island, Hidalgo Island here, are the islands over here, the land masses over here in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Okay? That's what I'm talking about. I wanted to make sure you knew what we were talking about, because we are seeing seismic energy here. That seismic energy is preparing us for the earthquake of a lifetime. The seismic energy I'm showing you right now is preparing us for an earthquake of a lifetime. Something that we may or may not want to see, but we need to see it, we need to understand it, and we also need to observe it. We need to see it, understand it, and observe it. The United States Geological Survey is not going to show it to us. They have no interest in showing it to us. Again, this is Hidalgo Island. Here we are also seeing evidence of magma underneath the surface of the earth where we're walking. Underneath the crust of the earth where we're walking. Actually, not underneath it, but through the crust of the earth that we're walking on. Okay? So we're seeing magma pulse signals here, and we're also seeing earthquakes. Tremors and earthquakes here. Look at all these tremors here. And yet USGS is not even talking about it. The United States Geological Survey doesn't want us to know about this. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. All that you see here are tremors, except over here at the bottom right on the black line here. Okay? This is after 7:13 a.m. this morning. 7:13 a.m. this morning. I'm going to show you right here. On that blue line. Actually, it's not 7:13. This would be 7:43 a.m. this morning on this blue line. It's just a 2.5, 2.6 earthquake. But why is USGS not showing us here? Fildago Island, Washington. Fildago Island, Washington. Why are they not showing it? I don't think we're going to see any of the earthquakes that we're going to show you tonight on the USGS map. They're not there. They are not there because the agency doesn't want to show them to us. One of our most corrupt agencies is the United States Geological Survey. They don't want us to talk about it. That's why we're here. Not just talk about it, but to do something about it. Because we are preparing ourselves right now, this minute, for a much larger earthquake to happen. And I'm telling you guys right now, it is going to happen. It is going to happen. This, like I said, is Fildago Island. Let's continue here. This is Olga Island. This is Olga Island. Okay, look at this. Over on the blue line near the top here on the right-hand side. Let's zoom in here. On that blue line here, this is after approximately just about 6:43 last night. 2.5 earthquake. 2.5 earthquake and then another 1.9 after that. 1.9 tremor. Then on this black line. On this black line we see here. Okay? This is approximately 8:09 p.m. last night. A 2.3, 2.4 earthquake here. Multiple 2.3, 2.4 earthquakes here. Why do I say multiples? Look at the amount of time here from left to right when this earthquake started. I'm not talking about the left-hand triangle you see going out to the left. Those are foreshocks. Those are tremors leading up to the minor earthquakes here. I'm talking about that space of time here that might be 1/8 of an inch wide. Multiple earthquakes hitting here. Earthquakes that you're not going to feel. Minor earthquakes at that. Nobody's going to feel these 2.0, 2.3 earthquakes. But they happened. And then off to the right-hand side, we have a secondary wave. That secondary wave lasted over a full minute and 10 seconds. That means this seismogram was turned down. This seismogram was turned down. So this may have been a 3.0 earthquake. The secondary wave up to the right of this earthquake is over a minute and 10 seconds long. That tells me that this earthquake was larger than they're saying it is here on the seismogram. Now let's go over to this one on the left-hand side. This red one here on the red line. This happened at 10:16 last night. Folks, this was a building earthquake here. Off to the left-hand side you see tremors leading up to the earthquake. The longest earthquake on the vertical scale here is a 3.0 earthquake. But we had 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes leading up to it, building up to the 3.0 here. Okay? This is Olga Island over there in the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Why are they not showing this 3.0? They should be. They should be. That's why I've shown you the USGS map. They're not showing much of anything because, again, they don't want us to see it. Let's look at Grays Harbor, Washington. This is Grays Harbor, Washington. Again, it starts off at 4 p.m. last night over in the top left. What you're seeing here in Grays Harbor are tremors. All kinds of tremors. Probably about 50 tremors here. 50 tremors. But look down here on the bottom here on the second to the last bottom line on the right-hand side. Okay? This blue line here on the left-hand side is approximately 12 noon on the black line. The red line here is, the blue line here on the left-hand side is 12:30. So we come over to where this earthquake is. This is a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake at approximately 12:41 p.m. yesterday afternoon. I'm sorry, not yesterday afternoon, today. This afternoon. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake this afternoon here. It's not shown on the map, is it? We're not even seeing any of the tremors or microquakes here. But USGS wants to tell us about microquakes at Mount St. Helens, microquakes at Mount Rainier. Fantasyland, guys. The scientists at USGS, managers at I shouldn't say scientists, the managers at USGS are living in fairyland. They're living in fairyland. Oh, nothing happens. Nothing happens. I want to ask the question of them. Do they believe in the Easter Bunny? Do they believe in the Tooth Fairy? Because they're certainly not living in the 2025 season here of their lives. They don't want to define what is actually happening because the politicians are telling the managers of the U.S. agency not to be truthful. This is what's happening over here in the Cascadia Megathrust earthquake region. The Cascadia Megathrust earthquake region. I'm showing you actual information here. I'm showing you actual seismic information here that's happening every day. Yes, you're seeing today's information, but this happens every day. This is not unusual. This is not unusual at all. Heaven forbid they tell us the truth. Let's go over to NEMA. Okay? This is the Pacific County, Washington. Pacific County, Washington. Look what we're seeing here. Yes, folks, each and every line here, horizontal line here, represents 15 minutes worth of time. But here and at the bottom of this seismogram, we're seeing magma come across the landscape here underneath the ground that we're walking on. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming through the magma chamber. This is not a volcano. This is underneath the ground going from the Pacific Ocean out to the volcanoes over the Cascade Mountain Range. Okay? Pacific County, Washington. Look at all this magma. Look at all this magma. And you're also seeing tiny vertical lines on each of these other horizontal lines, meaning tremors. All kinds of tremors here. All kinds of tremors here. This is a very busy seismogram, guys. A very busy seismogram. Let's go over here. Saxon, Washington. Saxon, Washington. This is over along the coastline of Washington. what we're seeing here. Last night after 7 p.m. It says 1900 hours over on the left-hand side. It has 19. That's 1900 hours military time. It's 7 p.m. civilian time. We come over here to this black line here where you have the earthquake. Okay? Now at the height of the earthquake, this was never any more than a 2.9 earthquake. But you can see tremors here. The tremors lead to a 2.2, 2.3 earthquake, right? Absolutely. Then it increases to a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake after that. Now, as we go right in the center of this earthquake sequence, we have a 2.8 earthquake. A 2.8 earthquake. Now, up to the right after that, we have a 2.4. Multiple 2.4 earthquakes. Then after that, we have a secondary wave. A secondary wave of tremors this time, lasting 60 seconds. This also tells me that this seismograph has been turned way down. So instead of seeing a 2.8 earthquake at the height of this may have been a 3.0. This may have been a 3.0, maybe 3.1 earthquake. And yet, the United States Geological Survey is not showing us this, are they? Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Then we come over here to approximately 2300 hours. 23 over on the left-hand side is 11 p.m. 2300 hours is military time. You see 23 here. That's 11 p.m. We come across this black line here at 2300 hours, 11 p.m. We're here. Again, we're seeing magma fold signals. This black line's getting larger, then it diminishes some, and then it gets thicker again. Magma pulse signals. Then after that, we have a red line and then a blue line. This blue line, we have an earthquake caused by magma. You see this big, thick blue line. That magma came into the magma chamber here underneath the ground that we're walking on, and it started fracturing rock. Why is it fracturing rock? Just like we've seen in Iceland, just like we've seen over in Greece and the Volcanoes Islands during the past 3 weeks. The magma is forcing its way through the rock, through the bedrock, and when it does that, it fractures this rock, causing earthquakes. Seismic energy. In this particular case with this thick blue line, that's a lot of magma. In this case, we have tremors building into 2.0, 2.3, 2.5, 2.8, 2.9 earthquakes here. At 11:02, 11:03 last night. I believe it worked its way up to at least a 3.0, 3.1 earthquake. Okay? We're seeing seismic energy here that the agency's not telling us about. Yes, these are seismograms from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. But USGS also has this information. They just don't want to share it. Look here at the bottom. This is today. This is today. This blue line over on the left is 1:30 p.m. this afternoon. Over here, we're at about 1:37 p.m. this afternoon. Here we are seeing a 2.7 earthquake. We're seeing a lot of magma here. The magma is fracturing rock here in the ground, causing this seismic energy, causing earth movement. We had tremors building up. Then all of a sudden we had 2.5, 2.6, 2.7, all the way up to probably close to 2.9, 3.0 earthquake this afternoon. Again, you're not going to see this on the USGS map because they don't want us to know about it. The politicians don't want you to see this because you will leave the area. Once you see all this stuff happening, you're going to leave the area. It's a fact. If you knew what was going to happen, would you stick around to see a 9.0, 10.0 earthquake to disrupt your life? Would you do that? I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Now let me show you the tremor map the PNSN showed us for today. Yes, this PNSN map, this tremor map, wants to only show us earthquakes up here in southern Oregon here. Yes, this is in southern Oregon here, and northern California, at the border of northern California. They want us to believe that there are 146 epicenters here, all of them tremors. They want us to believe these are slow slip earthquakes, slow slip tremors. This is in the lower part of the Cascade Mountain Range, Oregon and Washington. Sorry, I didn't mean Washington, Oregon and California. Incredible, huh? Incredible. All these tremors locked up in the area of the lower southern mountains of the Cascade Mountains here in Oregon and northern California. Yes, this happens all the time. It absolutely does happen all the time. Most of the time, these earthquake sequences here, all these tremors, are further down around Mount Shasta and Mount Lassen. Today, they're at the Oregon-California border. We used to always get earthquakes over here in Central Oregon and up here in Washington State. Up here near the Vancouver Island, southern Vancouver Island. But they're not showing them here. Why not? I honestly do not think that they are even telling us about all the tremors that are happening here in Oregon, Washington, and Northern California. Again, they don't want us to know what's going on. They don't want us to know what's going on. Now, let's go over to Ocean Shores, Washington, northwestern Washington State. Ocean Shores, Washington is where Marfugel went about 4 or 5 years ago. And he went over there one evening to talk to the residents of Ocean Shores to ask them if they knew anything about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. Guess what? Marfugel got told by not just residents, but even first responders that no, they had never been told about the Cascadia megathrust earthquake. Never been told. Let's see what Ocean Shores has going on last night and today. Look at all these earthquakes here. Again, the top of this seismogram is Ocean Shores yesterday evening and last night. Yes, we are having tremors here. After 6 p.m., after approximately 6:07 p.m. last night, we have a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. 2.7, 2.8 minor earthquake last night here. 6:07 p.m. Look at all these tremors here. Then, early this morning. Now, folks, this is just after 6 a.m. this morning. You see this earthquake. This is 6:09 a.m. this morning. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. In this case, the secondary wave lasted a minute and a half. Right here would show to be a 2.7, 2.8. If this earthquake lasted a minute and a half, shaking lasted a minute and a half, guess what? This was probably a 3.0 earthquake early this morning. 6:08 a.m. this morning. Look at all these other tremors here. Yes, we're looking at lines of magma coming into the magma chamber off the Pacific Ocean here. These thicker lines show magma coming in off the Pacific, headed for the volcanoes. Ocean Shores, Washington. Yes, I think tonight I'm going to send this to Marv and let him see what is actually happening at Ocean Shores. Unreal. The people in Ocean Shores, the residents that live there, yes, they have a happy little community there, but the residents there and the first responders, the police, the sheriff's deputies, the fire department, and also the paramedics and EMTs need to know what's going on, because their little town is shaking. Their little town is shaking. No, this is not major information, but it's concerning information. They should be aware that the agency that we're seeing is this seismic energy is building. This seismic energy is building. And as a result, this energy is going to build up until we see a major earthquake happen there. All of this is that we're showing you here tonight is proof positive that the agencies don't want to tell us what's really going on. It's happening, guys. The seismic energy in Washington, actually I should say southwestern Canada, Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. It's building. It's building a great deal. If you guys want to save your families, save your friends and neighbors, you need to be aware of what's going on. I'm telling you right now, larger earthquakes are coming. Larger earthquakes are coming. I promise you that. I promise you that. Now, let me see if there's anything more I want to show you here before we go and show you seismic energy at the volcanoes. Because guess what? Yes, the volcanoes are getting ready to erupt. I think I want to show you 3 other seismograms here. This one here is in Nassau, Washington, right here. This is a very busy seismogram here, Nassau, Washington. Look at the tremors. There's nothing here out of the ordinary here. This is nothing but tremors here. This is the largest tremor display that I've ever seen in Nassau, Washington. Look at this. Last night at 4 p.m., it was very little. Just tiny 1.0, 1.2 tremors. By this afternoon, we had 1.5, 1.4, 1.5, maybe 1.6 tremors here. But it got continuous. It never stopped. At some point in time earlier today, the tremors got large enough where you don't see much white beneath the color. That means energy took over. Yes, this is a digital display here, but the white here represents paper. This used to be on a seismic drum, a seismograph. This shows you the energy that's happening, and it's building. This is building, guys. This is in the Pacific Northwest. This is over in what they call Radar Ridge in South Washington. NASELLE Ridge, Washington. South Washington. It's moving. It's moving. Two more. Two more here. I want to go over to Tioga, which is a law enforcement unit of the state of Washington Division of Wildlife. Look here. Again, this is a seismogram. Yes, we're seeing a bunch of tremors. We're seeing lots of tremors. Probably close to 100 tremors here today. But look at the top of this seismogram. I'm sorry, not the top. Look at the bottom of this seismogram over to the right. We have a 3.0 earthquake here. A 3.0 earthquake at 5:12 p.m. this evening. 3.0 small earthquake here at 5:12 p.m. this evening. Tremors build up and build up and build up until we have a larger quake. And that's what's happened today. This is Tioga, the Law Enforcement Training Center for the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. One more here, then we'll take a look at the volcanoes. I want to show you Toledo High School in Washington State. Look what we're seeing here. Here we're seeing a lot more tremors though. We're seeing a lot more earthquakes as well. There's probably close to 150 seismic events here. We're seeing a great deal of seismic events after 4 p.m. yesterday at the top of this seismograph. Between 4 and 5:30 yesterday afternoon, you can see the earthquakes, or actually you're seeing the tremors here build up. Lots of them. Lots of them. Then as the night goes on, after midnight, approximately 12:20 a.m. this morning on the red line, we have a 2.2 minor earthquake. Then below it on the blue line. This blue line is 12:33, 12:34 this morning. More tremors. And you can see more tremors after that. 2 a.m. this morning. 1.6, 1.7 tremor on the black line. Look at all the other tremors here. Tremors and minor earthquakes here. Look at that. All kinds of them. Earlier this morning, we had a lot of tremors and earthquakes after approximately 4 a.m. this morning. Then as the day drew on, as the morning got on here, down at the bottom here on the black line, this is actually 2 p.m. this afternoon on the left-hand side. This is 2:13 p.m. this afternoon. 2:13 p.m. this afternoon. A 2.5, 2.6 earthquake right here on the black line. Should US be showing this? Yes, they should. They're not. Why not? Because they don't want anybody to know what exactly is going on here. That's a fact. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. I'm showing you the facts. I'm pulling up the seismograms because they'll never show you this on the map. This area is undergoing a lot of seismic energy here, a lot of change. The tremors are going to turn into minor earthquakes. The minor earthquakes are going to turn into small and moderate earthquakes, and then those small and minor earthquakes are going to turn into large earthquakes. They're going to do damage. They're going to do damage. Let's take a look at the volcanoes now. I want you to look at the volcanoes now. Let's go up north to just south of the Canadian border. This is Mount Baker. Mount Baker. Now, all we see here are tremors here. At the most. Tremors. Except towards the bottom of this seismogram again. On this red line here. On this red line here, guys. This over on the left-hand side would be 12:15 on the red line. Over here is 12:19 p.m. 12:19 p.m. this afternoon. We had a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake occur. All the rest of the day has been tremors. Nothing but tremors. Sometimes 1.5, 1.6 tremor. Others very tiny tremors. But all of a sudden this afternoon, 12:19 p.m., 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Fascinating. Fascinating. But that's not all that happened here at Mount Baker. It's not all. Let's take a look at Mount Baker. Let's go over to Baker-Schuchsen. I want to show you this because Baker-Schuchsen is a ski resort. And yes, we're going to look at this very thoroughly. As we've shown you these seismograms in the past, we've explained that these wavy lines are VLF waves, very low frequency waves caused by magma coming into the chamber of the volcano. Where you see very thick lines, they're still waves. That means a lot of seismic energies come in here. In this case, on this particular seismogram, what we are seeing here are earthquakes here caused by magma coming into Mount Baker here. Magma coming into Mount Baker here. It started off just after 5 a.m. this morning. 5 a.m. this morning, going into 6:15. This red line here is 6:15 a.m. The black line here is 6 a.m. Yes, for the most part, this is nothing but minor earthquakes. Minor earthquakes. Look at all this activity today, happening over a time period of about a half hour. Half hour, maybe 40 minutes here. But look at these other wavy lines here all day long. This is a lot of activity here. This is a ton of activity here at Mount Baker. It didn't stop all day long. This is the most magma activity we've seen here at Mount Baker. Sometimes it lasts 2 or 3 hours. In this case, it lasted all day long. This is Schutzen at Mount Baker, the ski resort. They had earthquakes today. They had earthquakes. Some of this, or actually the majority of it, is just minor earthquakes. Hopefully, nothing more than that. Been here at Mount Baker in quite some time. A very long time. Charlene is saying, is it possible magma surges the entire length of the plate boundaries, potentially able to activate all of them along the west coast at the same time? Possibly. You've got to understand, in this case along the west coast of the United States here, magma is coming off the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific Plate. It's running east and west. At this point in time, we don't believe there's anything running north and south. We don't know. I've not seen anything like that. But this magma is running underneath the ground in the crust of the earth we walk on, running towards the volcanoes, running from west to east. That's what's happening here. That's exactly what's happening here. Like I said, this is Schutzen Ski Resort at Mount Baker. Let's go a little bit south though. Let's go to a reservoir of water. Upper Baker Dam. Look at this energy here. You think Mount Baker is moving? Look what's happening here just south of Mount Baker, the volcano. This is a lot of seismic energy. This is more than just tremors. This is more than just tremors. Yes, we have minor earthquakes happening here. 2.0 to possibly 2.9 earthquakes happening here. It occupies the entire seismogram, top to bottom. There's hardly any white areas to speak of because there's so much activity. A ton of activity here, guys. Mount Baker here is very, very, very busy. Like I said, it's the busiest I've ever seen it. Upper Baker Dam is usually, just has a little bit of energy. A few tremors and minor earthquakes. Here you see a lot of it. A ton of it. About 40 miles southwest of Mount Baker, we come to another volcano called Glacier Peak. Here at Glacier Peak, we don't see a ton of activity. We don't see a ton of earthquakes at all. It's fairly quiet. We have one earthquake here. We have one earthquake here. This earthquake happened after approximately 6:08 a.m. this morning. It appears to be a 3.5 earthquake. 3.5 small earthquake after about 6:08 this morning. It's that long vertical line you see here. 3.5 earthquake. Okay? Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak, for the most part, is fairly quiet. Yes, occasionally we see a lot of tremors. A lot of small tremors. Rarely do we ever see a 3.0, a large earthquake here. So this is a little bit unusual for Mount Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak. Let's move a little further south to Mount Rainier. About 40 miles south of Glacier Peak we have Mount Rainier. What's going on here at Mount Rainier today? Let's show you. Let's show you exactly what's going on at Mount Rainier. I'm first going to go to Emerald Ridge, Mount Rainier. right here. For the most part, USBS shut down all the seismographs around Mount Rainier. I took a long time. It took about an hour here earlier this afternoon looking at Mount Rainier. They basically shut off most of the seismographs. There are about 12 seismographs all over the mountain. North, south, east, and west on any side of the mountain. What I'm showing you here is a view of what's happening with the magma inside Mount Rainier. This is the HHN channel of Mount Emerald Ridge. Emerald Ridge here at Mount Rainier. Up at the top, it shows very little activity. The main seismogram here at Emerald Ridge doesn't show anything going on. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. However, about 1 a.m. is when the magma starts really kicking in here. And you can see it building up. Between 1 a.m. and 9 a.m. you can see a buildup of magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Rainier. Then, by about 11 a.m., 12 noon here, you see a ton of magma coming into Mount Rainier here. This would usually signal you, or signal us, that we're going to have 2.5 to 3 points earthquake activity here at Mount Rainier. But guess what? The agencies have either censored it out, or didn't happen. I find it very hard to believe when we have magma as righteous as this. Yes, that's what it is. Very busy magma coming into the magma chamber here this afternoon at Mount Rainier without seeing earthquakes. Not seeing any earthquakes. Guess what? I believe there are earthquakes here. I believe there are earthquakes here. Let's go over to Camp Muir. Seismogram at Camp Muir. Look what we're showing here. Mostly tremors. On and on. From 4 p.m. last night at the top until later this afternoon here. This is Camp Muir. On this blue line here, this would be 1:33 this afternoon. 1:33 this afternoon, we had a 3.0 earthquake. 3.0 earthquake here at Mount Rainier. You can see it here on that blue line. Off to the right, you see a seismic wave here. It lasts about 30 seconds. That's one of the reasons that I believe, besides the vertical line here showing at least a 3.0 earthquake, it proves it was. That energy going off to the right, the secondary wave, shows that this is a 3.0, 3.2 earthquake this afternoon. Over here on the right-hand side, this is a 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. This happened after 12:44 this afternoon. 12:44 this afternoon. 2.9, 3.0 earthquake. Earthquakes at Mount Rainier. Are they showing these on the USGS? No, they're not. They're not showing any of these earthquakes at Mount Rainier. Why? Why are they not showing them? There's plenty of magma coming into Mount Rainier. I showed you that. I showed you the magma coming in, and all that magma that's coming in would cause earthquakes. Earthquakes. Magma churning in the magma chamber, just riling things up over there, causing earthquakes. Magma fracturing rock inside the volcanic chamber causing earthquakes here at Mount Rainier. That's Camp Muir. Let's show you another one here at Mount Rainier. This is Camp Sherman. Again, Emerald Ridge shows you a lot of earthquakes happening. A lot of magma coming into the magma chamber. But on these other seismographs, we're not seeing it. Now, has USGS scrubbed the information off? Possibly. Possibly they have. Because you cannot possibly have all this magma that is being shown on the seismogram here coming into the volcano and not having earthquakes. They're probably scrubbing them. Here at Camp Sherman, see this red mark here? This is a magma churn signal. Magma churn signals are typically 23 to 24 lines high. This one's not. This one's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines high. Interesting. Very interesting. Folks, what we're seeing here, 9 lines high. What does this tell us? This seismogram was turned down. It's showing about 60% of real world. This seismogram is showing us 60% of real world. Now those vertical lines out to the right side of this magma churn signal, those are steam signals. Mount Rainier is steaming. Mount Rainier is steaming. These other vertical lines here, for the most part, are just tremors. If there's a vertical line with a dot in it, that is an earthquake. If there's a vertical line here with a dot in it, it's an earthquake. All the rest of these are steam signals. Yes, magma is up inside the volcanic chamber. 6 to 7% of all magma is water. That's why we have steam signals here. Steam is coming up from Mount Rainier. Steam is coming up from Mount Rainier. Let's quickly go over to Mount St. Helens. I want to show you Mount Hood as well before we leave here. I have all the volcanoes all the way down to southern Oregon. Guess what they did at Crater Lake? They shut down all the seismographs at Crater Lake. There is no information about Crater Lake at all. I know for a fact that we have earthquakes happening at Crater Lake. However, we can't prove it. We can't prove it because they shut the seismographs down completely. Completely. Let's look at Mount St. Helens. Okay? Mount St. Helens, we have earthquakes and tremors happening. This is East Dome Mount St. Helens. East Dome Mount St. Helens. Look at each individual line here. We have zigzag lines here. That's not normal. That means they have adapted the seismograph. They've made the seismograph do that. Guess what? They screwed up. Yes, we are seeing 2.7, 2.8 earthquakes here. Just after 6:16 this morning on the red line here. Down here on another red line after 11:15. This is at 11:21 a.m. this morning. 3.0 earthquake. We have tremor buildup. We have minor earthquakes off to the left of it. Then all of a sudden we have a 3.0 earthquake. In fact, we have two of them. Two of them side by side here. Then we have seismic energy going out to the right. Secondary wave. The secondary wave here started at 11:22. It continued until 11:27 today. That tells us something. That these earthquakes I just got through showing you were at least 3.0, maybe close to 3.5 earthquakes at Mount St. Helens. Late morning. 11:21, 11:22 this morning. 3.0 earthquakes, maybe even as large as 3.5. Do you think USGS is going to tell you that? No. They're not going to tell you that. They may have shown you microquakes happening here at Mount St. Helens, but they're not showing you this information here. Ever. They've never said this. They've never said anything about it. Never said anything about it. This is Mount St. Helens. Let me show you one more at Mount St. Helens, then we'll go down to Mount Hood. This next one is at September lobe at Mount St. Helens. The September lobe seismograph is set up with about 5 different channels. It can show us seismic energy, but this particular channel here is the BDF. What is this? This is the BDF CC01. This is showing you magma coming into Mount St. Helens. All evening long last night. Look at all this activity here. All evening long last night we had a lot of magma coming into Mount St. Helens. Then early this morning, after 1 a.m., they basically turned off the seismograph. They basically turned it way down where it's hardly even being allowed to show what's happening. All we're seeing is bits and pieces. That means they turned it so far down, only the largest amount of information is coming through the electric turndown, the electronic turndown. But look what happens late morning today. They turned the dadgum seismograph back up. And all of a sudden we have a lot of magma showing again here at Mount St. Helens. Isn't that what we're showing here on the other seismogram? We're showing some 3.0 earthquake activity? Yeah. Mount St. Helens is getting ready to erupt. That might be why they turned the seismograph down, where it's hardly showing anything. They do not want anybody to know what's actually happening. They're not going to tell anybody what's actually happening here. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Let's look at another location off to the side, up to the east side of Mount St. Helens. This is Elk Rock. Look at this activity here. This proves the information that's going on. This proves the information we showed you on the seismograph, showing the magma. Look here. This is a lot of activity. On this blue line here. This blue line here after 5:30 this morning. See the magma churn signal? It's usually 23, 24 lines high. Let's count the lines here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines high. It's about 65% of real world. 65% of real world. Out to the side, we see these other vertical lines to the right. That is steam. Mount St. Helens is steaming. And there's other vertical lines here without dots in the middle of them. The vertical lines without dots are also steam signals. Mount St. Helens is steaming. Righteously. It's steaming. But look at the other seismic energy. Mount St. Helens is having a bunch of 3.0 small earthquakes. 3.0 small earthquakes here. Yes, we have our share of other minor earthquakes, 2.0, 2.3, 2.5. They're here. But we're also showing some other small 3.0s as well. Okay? It's happening. It's happening. Mount St. Helens is getting ready to erupt. They can hide the information if they want, but it's getting ready to erupt. Let's go and take a look at Mount Hood. Let's go south of Mount Hood to Hood Meadows. Look at this. This seismogram Hood Meadows shows a lot of magma here. Each individual line here is 50 minutes long. Each individual horizontal line here is 50 minutes long. Side to side, top to bottom, tremors. Side to side, top to bottom, tremors. I do not see any 2.0 or larger earthquakes at all. This is all tremor activity here at Mount Hood and Hood Meadows on the south flank of Mount Hood. Let's take another look. Again, all this is all at Mount Hood right now. This timberline. Timberline is government camp on the south side of the volcano, south flank of the volcano. Up at the top, all we see is some thinner lines. Magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Hood. Most of them are very thin lines. Look what happens as we go through the early morning hours after midnight and going throughout the rest of the day here. Okay? We have some earthquakes here. We have some earthquakes we want to talk about here. After 3:15 this morning, about 3:05 this morning, we have a 2.9 3.0 earthquake here on the blue line. 3:34, 3:35 this morning, a 2.9 3.0 earthquake. And then after that, another. On the red line over here, 4:15 this morning, on the left-hand side. We come over here to about, I want to say 4:23 this morning. This is another 3.0 earthquake. 3.2, maybe 3.3 earthquake here. At Mount Hood, timberline, the south flank of the volcano. And there's other tremors here as well. Look at these other tremors here. Then down here at the bottom this afternoon on the red line. This will be 2:15 this afternoon on the left side. Over here to the right, this would be 2:21 this afternoon. A 2.3 earthquake this afternoon. All the rest of this is tremors. Yes, we had some small 3 5.0 activity up here early this morning. All the rest of this is all tremor activity. All tremor activity. Mount Hood. One more seismograph here at Mount Hood. Let's go to Palmer Lift. Palmer Lift is a ski resort on the south flank of the volcano. It's halfway up the south flank of the volcano above timberline. Look what we have here. Okay? Very little activity here last night. Very little activity after 4 p.m. last night until early this morning. At about 5:01 a.m. this morning, 2.7, 2.8 earthquake, 2.0 earthquakes, 2.3 earthquakes. Further off to the right here, about 4 minutes after, 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. On the red line below that, 5:15 over on the left-hand side. Over here on the towards the right, we have about 5:22 a.m. this morning. Another 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. And the black lines are covering up more activity on the red line. Again, that's probably a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake as well. But on this black line after 6 a.m. On the black line after 6 a.m. And this is about 6:09 a.m. this morning. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake again. Off to the right of that on the black line, you see a 2.4, 2.5 earthquake. Off to the right of there, we see a 2.6, 2.7 magnitude earthquake. Minor earthquake. Minor earthquake. And then you see what appears to be 1.8, 1.9 tremor after that to the right. That's a lot of seismic activity here at Mount Hood. Then this afternoon, what do we have happening this evening here? For the most part, nothing but tremors. For the most part, nothing but tremors. Over here on the right-hand side, you see more tremors here. A lot of tremors. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming into this volcano. Mount Hood. The thicker the lines, the more magma coming into the volcano here. Does anybody have any questions? Now it's getting very late here. It's almost 9 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm not going to show you any more volcanic activity. However, I will probably do it tomorrow night. Why? Because, folks, I'm going to tell you this. They may have shut down Crater Lake. But I'm telling you, Newberry Volcano is active. Sisters Volcano is active. So I can only assume that Crater Lake is also active, even though they shut the seismographs down. Mount Shasta is less active. But Mount Shasta is also showing some activity. Not much, but it's showing activity. But Mount Lassen is showing quite a bit of activity, and I'll cover that tomorrow night. Mammoth Mountain out to the southeast. Mammoth Mountain out to the southeast near the California-Nevada border on the west side of Nevada in California. Mammoth Mountain is a volcano. It's a ski resort during the wintertime. Mammoth Mountain is very active. There are a lot of earthquakes at Mammoth Mountain. And there are even more over at Long Valley Volcano to the east of Mammoth. Long Valley Volcano, there are earthquakes there. You need to understand that. Long Valley Volcano is also a supervolcano in California. Long Valley Volcano has earthquakes. I'm telling you that straight up. Straight up. Okay? I'm not saying Long Valley is ready to erupt. I don't believe it is. But we have a lot of earthquakes at Long Valley. It may be getting ready. It may be getting ready. I don't believe it's there yet. Yes, we've had an eruption at Mammoth Mountain a few years ago during the winter time. There are earthquakes at Mammoth Mountain. I promise you that. There are earthquakes at Mammoth Mountain. There's earthquakes in Ridgecrest, Crater Lake, or earthquakes at China Lake, Ridgecrest as well. It's happening. It's happening. Any questions? Do you have any questions of me? Now, I'm not sure whether Sharon is here or not, Sleeping Volcano. I'm not sure if Sharon's here or not. Rebecca might still also be watching this program, although it's getting a little bit late. I don't often do this. I've only done this one other time. I'm going to share a scripture with you, as I've done on almost every program for many years now. I've chosen for this scripture to be from 2 Corinthians in the New Testament. I'm choosing verses 6 and 7 of the first chapter of 2 Corinthians. And whether we be afflicted, is for your consolation and salvation, which is effectual in the enduring of the same sufferings which we also suffer. Or whether we be comforted is for your consolation and salvation. Verse 7. And our hope of you is steadfast, knowing that as ye are partakers of the sufferings, so shall ye also be of the consolation. The Lord does not want us to live by ourselves. The Lord does not want us to be by ourselves at all. The Lord has given us the gift of the Holy Ghost to be with us. One, testify the truthfulness of His gospel, and to also comfort us when we need comforting. I appreciate Demon Catman putting up our PayPal and our Venmo locations where you can donate to our channel. He also put up our street address, 104 North Green Street, Box 105, Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code here is 28655. Thank you, Demon Catman. And thank you also for putting up our PayPal and Venmo locations where people can send us donations here as well. We need that. We need that donations to keep this program on the air. It takes money. It takes money, and we appreciate that. Now, remember that scripture in the 2 Corinthians, first chapter, verses 6 and 7. The Lord doesn't want us to be alone. The Lord talked to us about afflictions. Sleeping Volcano's name is Sharon. Sharon said she was having some heart problems. Rebecca's got pneumonia from bronchitis. She's having a little problem breathing. She's had a tough time lately. So brothers and sisters, right now I'm going to ask for a moment of silence while we pray for Sharon and Rebecca. Our dear and kind Heavenly Father, we come before you this evening with gratefulness in our hearts for the truthfulness of thy gospel. Gratefulness in our hearts for the blessings that we've received, for the health and strength that we have, for the knowledge of our Redeemer Jesus Christ. Tonight we ask a special blessing on Sharon and Rebecca, and any of those also here on the EMA program. that are having problems. May God bless you all. Heavenly Father, please bless them with health and strength. If it be thy will, bless them so they will be able to recover fully and be able to return to us healthy. And bless their families, their husbands and wives. Watch over and protect them, their children and grandchildren. Bless them with health and strength. Bless them with love in their hearts. Heavenly Father, please lift them up in their afflictions. Please bless them with your Spirit to watch over them and comfort them. Please bless them that their doctors might be able to help them in their time of need. The doctors' hands will be led to help them recover from their afflictions. Heavenly Father, we love thee. We love our friends here on our program. We love everybody around the world to help support this program, to keep it on the air. May God please, Heavenly Father, bless us. Bless us all with health and strength. And bless us with love in our hearts, that we might share thy gospel far and wide in this wonderful world. May we all be saviors on Mount Zion and help our Savior Jesus Christ's message get out to the masses. Bless our missionaries out in the field. Please guide our missionaries to those that are truly seeking for truth, and help them bring the gospel to the worldwide audience, wherever they might be. Please, Heavenly Father, bless us with health and safety. Guide us with thy Spirit. Bless us, Heavenly Father. We love thee very much. And we ask these favors and blessings and any others that thou seest that we stand in need of. And we ask for these blessings humbly in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen. Brothers and sisters, thank you for being here. I appreciate you. I love you. I love you very much. Have a good night. Have a very good night. If anything happens tonight, we will come back on the air to tell you about it tonight or tomorrow morning. We'll be coming back on the air to tell you about it as soon as the information becomes available. Until then, we'll be back here tomorrow between 6 and 7 p.m. here on the Emergency Management Associates Network. God bless you. God be with you this day and always. God be with you until we meet again. Good night, everybody. Much love. See you soon. Good night.